Hi, you guys. My name is Faye, and I need a vacation, and I think you do too. So let's distract ourselves with some reality TV nonsense. I know I'm late, life has been lifing, but I promise you I have not forgotten about my new favorite Bravo show, Next Gen NYC. Since I am late, however, I think it's best that we talk about both episodes today, and those are episode 7 and episode 8, which is the season finale. Episode 7 picks up where episode 6 left off, the casino fight night situation. Remember, Gia is inserting herself and being really just loud and obnoxious. She's yelling at them, shut the F up, and she's actually implying they're obsessed with Charlie for some reason. I don't know what's up with her. Ariana ends up getting up from the table, and then the drama fades out with another voiceover, this time from Meredith Marks telling her son to disengage. The next day, Riley is walking around confused. She's like, I thought we were all mad at Charlie, and she feels like everyone's forgotten that he actually threatened Georgia and told her that he would slap her in the face if she were a man. So yeah, I was confused as well. Ariana's lying in bed with Hudson. She's feeling bad about the way she acted last night. She's afraid that she might have come off a little mean girlish, and she definitely wants to talk to Georgia and apologize to her. We then see a flashback from last night, and what I didn't catch in the last episode was that Hudson was chiming in, and he was yelling at Georgia as well. He was like,
speak the F up or shut the F up.
and I did not like that. Like, no, we don't speak to women that way, Hudson. And I didn't think you were that guy. Another thing that caught my attention about this episode was when Riley came down for breakfast and she asked everyone if someone wanted to join her to go to the cabana with Georgia because she didn't want to go alone. And it was dead silence. Like, why was there dead silence? That made me so sad for her. And it just made me feel like Riley's not really part of this group somehow. We also see some funny flashbacks from casino night, and I am wondering why we didn't get to see this in the episode. Like, why didn't we see any of casino night? Because we only saw them driving there, we saw them at the table eating, but we didn't see the gambling, we didn't see the dancing, the drinking, nothing. I'm like, why? But anyway, it was really funny. Riley went up to Charlie and she was like, Charlie, I hate you, but do you know how to do the craps table? And she was dead serious, and he was like looking at her and she was like, no, hate is a strong word. That was a joke. I don't like you, Charlie. Do you know how to do the craps table? I was just living for her. And the way she said that, dead in the face, like just, loved it. We also see a flashback scene of Hudson approaching Charlie about the comments he made about Ariana. And once again, I don't know why this is a flashback, but here it is. Basically, Charlie, backpedals and he said, all I said was that she's hot. Didn't he also say that he was going to try to F her? I think he did. He clarifies that he didn't say it in a derogatory way. Hudson is okay with it. He's like, I know I got a bad B. It's whatever, but just know she's not leaving my side. And after that exchange, Charlie actually ends up respecting him a lot more. And he makes another comment about Hudson's jewelry. Are you jealous? Another thing that gets brought up is Omar's financial situation. Actually, it's Georgia who's asked how he makes his money in her confessional, and she's floundering. She's like, I don't know how he makes his money. He invested in crypto companies, I think. He did some crypto trades, and he owns some Airbnb properties. Yeah, I think that's it. So, I'm starting to see some more red flags with that guy. We'll see, we'll get to that later. Because remember, these shows, especially on Bravo, just attract scammers. And as soon as someone can't explain what they or their person does for work, it's usually a problem. Another scene I wanted to discuss was them at the water park. They're doing some water activities, and then near the end, Riley and Georgia show up from their cabana, and everyone's immediately annoyed, and it's like this awkward silence. I don't know why. Like, at this point, what is the problem? Especially Gia is annoyed, and it just feels like she really does not like Riley, but that's gonna come up again later as well. Anyway, Riley's walking towards the group and she drops her phone and it bounces off of one of those floaty thingies and falls in the bay. Like, it literally falls in the water. And she's like in shock. Like, she can't believe it either. And then, she falls out on the floor, gets back up, and then she offers anyone. She's like,
I offer anyone who dives in there and finds my phone $1,000. Anyone.
And guess who's the first person to jump up? It's Charlie. And instantly we see Riley in her confessional and she's like, yeah, if he needs $1,000 that bad, we are never seeing her money, dude. I agree. It definitely was interesting to see such behavior from someone, comes from wealth, shall I say. Notice none of the other people jumped in. Oh, except Georgia. But remember, Charlie called her dirt poor, so maybe that's why. While Georgia and Charlie are looking for Riley's phone, Gia's just sitting there making the stankest face. She's like, what the F is going on? This is bizarre. This is so embarrassing, bro. Like, oh, Gia, shut up. Like, what is your problem anyway? And like, why do you not care? Honestly, you're a bad friend. Losing your phone is one of the top 3 worst things you can lose, in my opinion. And you should care. I bet if it was your phone, you'd be responding differently and expecting everyone else to feel bad for you and help you look. I did crack up though when Riley actually reveals that that's only her second phone. Like, this girl is sitting here with 2 phones, making people dive in after one of her phones, and it's not even her main phone. It is, however, the one with better service, so I guess that's why she was trying to get it back. After that, Riley, Ariana, and Georgia do the water obstacle course, and when I tell you, they were giving straight up American Ninja Warrior. It was the best, especially Riley. She was busting her ass. She was like getting up, falling. Like, honestly, it really should have been on America's Funniest Home Videos. Like, I think, was that Georgia that said that or Ariana? I don't know. But that was like top 5 moments of the show for sure. And what's especially hilarious is that I think that Ariana didn't fall once. Like, she was the only one out of the 3 to come back with dry hair. That night, they also had a Jersey Shore themed dinner. That's when Shy finally shows up. Thank God, we were missing you, bro. Like, what took you so long? But I get it. He's like one of the only people that have a 9-to-5 job. There's one person missing, once again, that's Ava. And Amira lets us know in her confessional that she was actually invited to the Dolce event as well, but she declined. So she says that with a little shade, So they sit down to eat, and this is when Georgia decides to bring up her grand bowling alley club idea. She tells everyone that Omar is financing it, that he will be investing as well as finding other investors, and she's just sitting there rambling about all the ideas and mock-ups and this and that, and everyone's just sitting there like, this is a bad idea. Like, you can see it in their faces, no one says it. It is awkward though, and there are a few people actually laughing, and one of those people is Gia. Georgia then asks everyone for honest feedback, and Amira takes this as an opportunity to bring up the whole fat shaming incident when Georgia commented on what she was eating and made her out to be a pig just for having food the first time that day. And Georgia is completely caught off guard and she's barely even listening. She's immediately apologizing like, yeah.
Oh, it wasn't intended to be that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize.
And then she literally starts talking about the food at her club. And everyone's like, Georgia, she does not care. And Amira's like,
I could not care less about your food.
And Georgia is just oblivious, like Delulu, like she's crazy. And Shy sums it up perfectly. He's like,
she just lives in Georgia land with like chocolate rivers and bowling and vending machines, and that's where she lives.
I think you're actually right, Shy. The next person to speak up is Riley. And when I tell you it goes down, it goes down. So basically Riley attempts, or she starts to say something, but then she changes her mind, right? Remember, she backpedals. This is when the group pressures her and everyone's like, no, say it, you have to say it now. So she comes out and she blurts out,
this is a terrible idea.
And honestly, it is a terrible idea. It really is. Gia looks at Riley like really just disgusted and she's like,
don't be nasty.
And Riley immediately feels horrible. She immediately apologizes. She takes it back like a dozen times. She's like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I know my delivery was bad. I have awful delivery. I'm working on it.
Right? Ariana tries to console her and she's like,
Riley, you're good, babe. We all say stupid stuff sometimes.
But then Riley's like, she catches that and she's like,
what did I say that was dumb?
Now, it gets even worse. Now, Ariana explains it to her like she was pitching her business idea. She's starting her own business and you're saying it's a terrible idea. Gia takes it upon herself to criticize Riley even more by telling her, even though she was already apologetic, mind you, by insisting that she was rude and that when she gets tipsy, she gets rough. Note the coded language here, like it's giving microaggression. This is when Ariana defends Riley and she tells Gia that Riley always acts the same. Whether she's had something to drink or not, she's always honest and tells people exactly how it is. This is when Gia responds that it's not triggered as easily when she's sober. We see Riley in her confessional and she says that she feels like no matter what she says or does, Gia has an issue with her. And honestly, I feel the same way. Even when she showed up to the water park, Gia was instantly annoyed. And as soon as there's even the slightest opportunity to drag Riley, she's all over it. Gia literally starts talking about Riley like she's not even in the room, and she feels like she's seen Riley drunk and sober and has seen the switch flip. Pause. Gia, the audacity, like honestly, you are loud, you're verbally aggressive, you are rude, you were the same girl screaming in Ava's face over an argument that didn't even concern you, and when Ava asked you to please take your hands out of her face, you told her to get over it because you're Italian. You're the same one sitting at the table during casino night, yelling at people, like cursing people out, telling them to shut the F up and whatever, like you are crass. Like I said, you're crass, you're loud, you're disrespectful, and you can be very rude and very nasty. And I don't see where you get off thinking that you can be all those things and say all these things, but Riley has to be meek and mild and quiet. I'm definitely feeling a double standard here, and it's giving microaggressions. Riley obviously feels it too because she starts crying and asking like, why the F would you even say that? She gets up from the table in tears, mind you. For some reason, Shy is the only one to console her, to go after her. Not her new BFF Ariana, not her friend Brooks. No, it's literally only Shy who cares. And he actually calls them absurd, which they are. Gia uses the opportunity when Riley is gone to talk about her some more and says that she's seen her get nasty this weekend, and says that Riley has been drinking this entire weekend and she just had to say something at some point. And like, girl, Ariana is right there saying, haven't we all been drinking this entire weekend? Like, literally, when I tell you, Gia is ascending like up into the Karen Olympics. She's not even competing. She's just winning off rip, just off of showing up alone. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you are there at the Jersey Shore to party. Everyone's partying, everyone's drinking, but yet you want to call out Riley and pretend that she has some drinking problem. Are you okay? She insists that Riley gets nasty when she drinks. Shut up, Gia. Like I said, Gia gets plenty nasty as well, with or without alcohol. Riley points out this double standard, and she says she feels like both her and Gia are harsh in their own ways, and she doesn't understand why Gia can behave the way she does, but she can't. Back at the table, Gia trash talks Riley some more and says that she was speaking very carefully around Riley because she never knows what she's gonna get. Like, why is this girl acting like Riley is this violent addict everyone's afraid of? Riley tells Shy that she was trying to keep her mouth shut, and they both agree that people were egging her on. Once again, the situation is interrupted with an annoying Brooks Marks voiceover moving right along. Shy is successful in cheering up Riley in the end, and they even practice her return to the table, and Shy was just cracking me up. Like, honestly, he's such a delight, like such a kind soul in this show. Like, we desperately need him. So when Riley gets back to the table, she does end up apologizing to Gia. I have no idea why. She also apologizes to Georgia again and said she's gonna work on her delivery. This is when Shy gets the ball rolling again by saying that he doesn't even get what the big deal is, and he thinks it's just so privileged to be sitting here arguing about a club. Georgia immediately takes offense and informs everyone that she only has $4,000 in her bank account. Okay. So her and Shy are arguing about what privilege is. Georgia feels like she's worked her ass off. Shy tries to explain to her, like, look, you're sitting in a beautiful house at the Jersey Shore, you're enjoying a meal by a private chef, and you're sitting here arguing about opening a nightclub. Like, that is privilege. Riley then tries to help Shy out by explaining to Georgia what privilege is, and she does this in such a nice, kind, like empathetic way, like not blaming Georgia at all, not calling her out, not diminishing her work ethic, nothing. But of course, Georgia immediately takes it like that. Georgia responds that she's not privileged because she's manifested a rich boyfriend. When I tell you, I'm done. Like, I'm so over it. I don't even know what to say to that one. So next, Riley tries to explain some more that being 24 years old in New York City and having the ability to even open a club is a big thing. Like, that's a privilege. Georgia is not getting it at all. She's not even trying to understand. She just keeps saying that she's worked so hard for so many years, and she just feels invalidated. Mind you, Georgia is sitting there attacking Riley for something that she didn't even say. Shy started this mess, but he's left at that point. Didn't like that. When Riley points out to Georgia that she was not the one who said this, that it was actually Shy and she was only explaining it, Georgia immediately makes an excuse for Shy and says that he was saying it more generally, but Riley was making it personal. Again, this feels really microaggressive to me. Like, why do you feel it's harsher coming from Riley than from the person who actually said it? Like, make that make sense. And this is when I started loving Riley even more. She goes,
"Are you dumb?"
And Georgia's like,
"Don't call me dumb."
and Riley's like,
"I didn't call you, I asked you."
when I tell you I live like Riley, you get your 10s from me. Like, that was everything. This was a classic Housewives read. Love it. She then goes on to reiterate that she was not the one who said that to her, but was only explaining what Shy told her. Georgia, for some reason, finds it appropriate to laugh in Riley's face, which pisses her off even more. And she's like,
"Yeah, laugh, B, because you're dumb."
she is. When I tell you I fell out, Georgia is super offended. Obviously, she even compares Riley to Charlie, which is low. Riley then clarifies that while Georgia is dumb, she didn't mean to say that, which makes it a whole lot better, apparently. This is when Ariana decides to pop up. She literally only heard the last sentence of the argument, but she still decides it's a good idea to admonish Riley. And I'm like, are you serious? You have no idea what's going on. Either take your best friend's side or stay out of it. Riley's confused as well. She's just literally staring at Ariana in confusion, like, why is she hugging Georgia? And Hudson's like,
just don't worry about it.
The next day, Ariana wakes up feeling regretful. She realizes that she was a pretty bad friend and that she didn't have Riley's back, and she feels really guilty about it. At breakfast, the group notices that Riley's been really quiet, and when she's asked why, she explains that she really feels like she can't say anything. This is when Gia tells her that her voice does matter and that she can speak up. It's just the way that she speaks. Like, she just doesn't like her approach. Riley explains that she was only so direct with Georgia because she thought that they'd actually become friends and that Georgia was looking for honest feedback and would value the input. And Riley's actually crying at this point. This is not enough for Gia, however. She decides she needs to just berate Riley some more and tells her that there's just a nicer way to say things. Like, even her boyfriend Christian feels bad for Riley at this point, and he actually tells Gia, listen, Riley can talk however she wants to. If you don't like it, just don't talk to her. And honestly, I couldn't agree more. Riley ends up promising that she will watch how she speaks around the group, which they don't want either. So Riley's basically like, listen, whether I speak or I don't speak, it's always a problem. This is when Amira steps in and she lets everyone know that they actually owe Riley an apology. Because remember, Riley had thought better of it. Like, she actually decided not to say what she wanted to say, but then the group kept egging her on. And then as soon as she said it, everyone turned on her. The reaction to this is disappointing, honestly. Like, no one says anything except for Brooks, who's like, yeah, I totally agree. But the rest of them are just in silence. And Gia actually looks highly dissatisfied. Like, she does not like Riley. I have no idea why. I was also a little annoyed because it seemed like the conversation was finally going in the right direction and Riley really had a chance to be vocal and make her point, but then the conversation got cut off when Riley started noticing the birds. Why are we talking about the birds? I don't know. So the conversation is over. What else went on this episode? Georgia reveals that her and Omar are now an official couple. Whatever, I'm not buying it. They pack up the house and everyone gets ready to leave and go back to the city. Georgia and Charlie have reconciled all of a sudden. So much for the irreparable friendship. Like, even the group is laughing about it. And Charlie says in his confessional that Georgia and him are actually like siblings. I'm like, Charlie, if you talk that way to your sibling, like, I feel sorry for them. Also, Riley notices that Georgia is actually still wearing her bathing suit on the way to New York. And not to be mean, but shout out to Tiffany New York Pollard. There's something so gutter butt about Georgia, like the concept of wearing a bathing suit, possibly even having been in the water, and then wearing that bathing suit for such a long drive is just strange to me. And pair that with the whole not washing her hands thing, like, it's not giving. In the car, everyone finally admits that Georgia's idea is actually terrible, just like Riley said. And Amira chimes in to add that she doesn't even believe that Omar has $1 million to give her because he is an alleged scammer. We'll get more into that later. Back in New York, Riley and Ariana meet up to exercise and grab smoothies after. They sit down and Riley shares with Ariana that the trip has really set her back. It stressed her out so much to the point to where she was in therapy, just feeling so disappointed in herself because she feels like she could have held herself to a higher standard. She tells her that she really doesn't want to end up like Charlie, always fighting and arguing. It's just sad how it went. Ariana owns up to her part and really genuinely apologizes to her for really being a bad friend. And she says that she has no excuse and she should always stand up for Riley. So I really appreciated that apology. It felt very heartfelt to me and genuine. And I love the fact that Ariana was able to reflect on her behavior so quickly. And, you know, we all make mistakes. I love how mature she seems though, like a lot more mature than her mom, if I may say. We meet up with Brooks. He's pitching his company to his parents. And I noticed that he was serving them Vita tequila. Shout out to Lisa Barlow. I really would love to try it. Like, I just need to know what it tastes like. But anyway, basically what happens is that he breaks up with his mom. They were originally planning to do a merger between Brooks Marks and Meredith Marks, but now he just wants them on board merely as investors. And he's so stressed out over this. Like, he hadn't even talked to Meredith before that meeting. So then after the meeting, they sit down and he breaks down crying and just tells her that he's so afraid of disappointing her. He doesn't want her to resent him. And he just has no idea how their relationship is going to work or what it's going to look like if they're not working together, because apparently they've been working together for, I think he said either 10 or 15 years, but anyway, like for a really long time. And then they're both crying and Meredith lets him know that their relationship will always be good, and it's just hard to watch them grow up, but they'll be okay. Then we get a very strange meetup, also very irrelevant to me. Charlie and Omar meet up for some reason. Apparently it's to discuss Charlie's behavior towards Georgia. However, they don't even spend a lot of time talking about that because Omar starts talking about crypto and finance, and he pitches this new project or business idea to Charlie. Sorry, I'm not in finance, I'm not in crypto, I have no idea, but it just felt like so bizarre to me. And he's like, yeah, Charlie, I would highly recommend you consider this because no one has a backbone like you. You're ideal for this. It really is giving scammer vibes, if I'm honest. The last event of the season is the Club pre-launch party at the bowling alley. First of all, what is Georgia wearing? Like, honestly, I thought that outfit was to just set up the party and that she would change, you know, before it started. But literally her hair doesn't even look like it's done. Like, what is going on, girl? Omar brings his friend slash business partner, and he looks sketchy as well. He literally comes in there laughing and giggling. He looks like a kid playing dress up, like all around just unserious. Also, I am not sure how Club is any different than just your average disco night at the bowling alley. It's literally just bowling with party lighting, with projections, and a vending machine. And I've been to bowling alleys that have vending machines as well, so I have no idea what this concept is supposed to be. Nobody's even dancing. Like, how is this a club? This is just bowling. Stop gaslighting me, Georgia. Brooks brings up again that he was so sad about Ava not showing up to his birthday trip. He tells the group that he had a conversation with her. We see a flashback of that, and he tells them that he feels like he wasn't getting any straight answers out of her. But he tells us in the confessional that he doesn't want to jeopardize his friendship with Ava, which obviously means that he doesn't want conflict with her. But what he does want to do is rile up everybody else in the group so they can speak up for him once again. Just like he did with Charlie early in the season. This time, however, Gia thankfully decides to keep quiet. So Brooks is forced to talk to Ava directly. And, he lets her know that he was so sad. And he explains that he was getting different answers from her regarding the Dolce event versus what he heard from Amira. And Ava pretty much tells him to disregard. She also throws a little shade by doubting that Amira was even invited to the event. We saw that she was invited, however, because she showed us her invitation in the confessional. And then she starts rambling about the length of the car drive. And I could have done the 8, 9, 10-hour car trip, but I didn't want to. She ends it, however, by saying that she's so sorry that she missed it and that she loves him so much. And honestly, I hate these kind of apologies. Like, she is not sorry. And if she were faced with the same choice, she would make that decision all over again. She literally just sat there and said she just didn't want to. And if his birthday or her relationship with him had been worth it to her, she could have and would have gone on the trip. But she didn't want to. So to me, it's just like, keep your apology, Ava. But Brooks accepts it, of course. Georgia and this investor are talking, and he's like being all faux serious, like, I want the idea. I want the vision. Tell me more. And Georgia is just giving a bunch of nothing answers, throwing out random words, atmosphere, fun, engagement, joy, downtown vibe, bowling plus party. And for some reason, the investor decides that that is totally enough. That is a sound business plan. And he's like, you've convinced me. And then she holds out her hand and he takes it, assumingly agreeing to an investment. The gag is, however, that I do not believe for a second that he is a serious investor, but that's alleged. Afterwards, though, him and Omar in the back, like laughing and high-fiving, they seem like they just pulled off the scam of the century, which they probably have, allegedly. The season ends with this party, but we do get a time jump and we catch up with the cast some months after filming. So Georgia and Omar apparently moved in together, which I find bizarre after only 3 months of dating, but whatever. What's even crazier is that Charlie says that Omar actually asked him to raise money for his business. Yikes. Scammer alert. And then the cast is notified really dramatically in all of their confessionals that Georgia and Omar actually broke up. But Georgia tells us that Omar dumped her in the middle of Singapore in the middle of their Christmas trip. And she says that it was after an argument, but honestly, I just think that his scammer money ran out, allegedly. And then she says in her TikTok, by the way, she shared this in her TikTok, that he cut her off financially completely. And I'm like, girl, why are you financially dependent on a man that you met 3 months ago? Like, what's not clicking? So she was cut off financially. She was stuck in Singapore. She somehow got back to the US. And then before she even got there, Omar had given her the Simon Gabadia special. Shout out to Portia Williams, and actually had all of her belongings packed and shipped over to Charlie's house. So all her things are in boxes in his hallway now. And guess what? They're roommates again. And Charlie immediately takes advantage of the opportunity to remind Georgia that she's living on his couch. I don't know why she would ever put herself back in that situation again when we all know that he's just waiting to call her homeless and dirt poor again. Ariana then closes out the season just like she started it by reflecting upon her time in the city that she now loves. This is where the season ends. However, I thought it would be fun to do a ranking. We have 10 cast members, so let's go through each of them. My number one has to be Ariana. Honestly, I was struggling between picking Ariana or Riley, but I just feel like the season was kind of centered around Ariana, and she was one of the only people who actually had a legitimate storyline with her clothing business and, moving to New York. And I've just really enjoyed her so much. Like, she feels so authentic and she seems so lovely and kind. She's funny. She does know how to do drama, however. And all around, there's something just so likable about Ariana. Number two is obviously Riley. Although she didn't get much screen time in the first 1 or 2 episodes, she really stepped up. She just won me over with her kindness as well, but also with her humor. She is so funny. I love her sense of humor. Like, she's so dry. She knows how to read, she knows how to shade, and she does it in such a classy, intelligent way. Like, I love that for her. And the way she handled Charlie, Georgia, and the whole cast on that trip was just effortless, like 10 out of 10. Number three for me is Amira. Granted, she wasn't featured as much, but when she was funny, she was shady, she was messy, and I thought she was spot on with her assessments, especially about that situation where Ava was shading Ariana's clothing line and how everyone was ganging up on Riley. Like, I think that she's the voice of reason on this cast, and she should come back in an increased capacity, in my opinion. Number four is Hudson, and that's just because he seems like a really good boyfriend to Ariana, and I like the way that he was also not afraid to get messy, and I like the way he handled Charlie. Like, he was some little boy and not, I don't know how many years his senior. Number five, and this concludes my top 5, has to be Georgia, and this is not because I like her or I think she's necessarily a great person, like, I don't know, but we do have to admit that she kept us entertained. She caused a lot of drama, and yeah, I think she was necessary for the show. I think people like her who speak without thinking and who just are themselves, no matter if it's good or bad, and don't really care what people think about them, and are also delusional, are just really important for reality TV. So I have to give her 8.5s. Number 6 is Shy, and this is only because he had so little screen time, but I loved him. I loved every second of him on the screen, and we need him back, and we need him back with more screen time. Please, bravo. Now we get to the people I just can't go up for. Number 6 is Brooks. The show was centered around him as well a little bit. Like, he was presented as the glue to the friend group, but honestly, he is so blah. Like, he was just boring. He hates drama. He hates conflict. He's avoidant as all get out. He doesn't really engage. He bores us with terrible monologues. I mean, that's not his fault. That's production's fault. But all in all, he just didn't need to be there, honestly. Like, I think he could go. His only storyline were his parents. And I love Meredith Marks, but this is not the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So honestly, he can go. It is sad though, because he had the opportunity to show more about his company and how he was designing his resort collection and more business things, but he didn't do that, or it wasn't shown. I don't know, but what we did get from Brooks, I don't think was needed for the show at all. Number 9 is Ava. She's another person who was just boring, who gave nothing. Like, great gowns, beautiful gowns, but that's pretty much all. The only storyline she had was not coming to Brooks's party. Like, she wasn't even part of the season, honestly. She didn't even feel like she was part of the cast. And I remember I said in one of my earlier videos that there's something I just didn't like about Ava. Like, I was having a hard time going up for her like I wanted to, and that unfortunately didn't change. Like, she just seems so cold, like removed, just dry, like very, very dry. Number 9 is Gia. She can go. Like, honestly, the Karen of all Karens. Like, the way she treated Riley was just beyond, and she is not needed on the show at all. In dead last, we have Charlie. I honestly debated ranking him higher just because he was the villain of the show, and I do admire the fact how he stuck with it the entire season. Like, he didn't quit the show, he didn't run off, like he stood his ground, like even though I thought he was so wrong almost 99.9% of the time. But it does take a somewhat strong person to go through all of that knowing you're gonna get the horrible villain edit. But at the end of the day, I just don't see him as a redeemable villain. He's not a fun villain to me. He's just nasty, he's just cruel, he's unpredictable, like the way he exploded on Georgia for no reason, his, microaggressions toward Riley. Like Riley said, I just don't like him, and he can go. All in all, I have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching this show, reviewing this show. It, to me, was such a breath of fresh air. I loved the energy. It felt so just young and different from the Housewives, and I really hope they bring it back for season 2. And dare I say, I even hope that we get a reunion, even though I don't think we will. But I loved it, honestly. That was it for Next Gen NYC. However, I'm also reviewing The Real Housewives of Orange County, so look out for that. And I'm thinking about reviewing The Real Housewives of Miami as well. I am really late though. There are like 6 episodes at this point. I don't know if it's worth getting into, but I just have a lot of thoughts. And yeah, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Please turn on the notifications and stick with me as we journey through the mess of reality TV. And I really hope to see you again on our next vacation. Until then, I wish you nothing but the best. Have a great day. Bye.